Professor. Hello, dear colleagues. First, I want to wish all the best to you, to our patients, to all the followers of homeopathy. And well, I'm ready to start just to describe the situation in Russia, a little from history about homeopathy in Russia. And then I took some part about modern state of homeopathy in Russia, and also about a little bit from my practice. And maybe if we have enough time, one of my patients, she's from French. Originally, she's Russian, but they live close to Paris. She wants to share with us her experience in homeopathy, her and her family experience of homeopathy. Well, in 10 years, it will be 2 centuries since homeopathy appeared in Russia. The period is sufficient to confirm that the homeopathic method is established everywhere in Russia and become more and more popular. In 1824, first Russian homeopath, actually he was a foreigner, Dr. Adam, who had studied homeopathy under Samuel Hahnemann by himself. And then Dr. Adam came to St. Petersburg, which was the capital of Russia for that time. This Dr. Adam, the student of Samuel Hahnemann, handed over its basics to Dr. Schering. Dr. Schering was the chief staff doctor of the separate Guards Corps. Then he was on his service like a doctor homeopath in the medical corps of the Empire of Nikolai I. And his homeopathic treatment was approved by the highest authority. At September 26, 1833, our Emperor Nicholas I authorized the treatment of the method, homeopathic method, and ordered the establishment of central homeopathic pharmacies in St. Petersburg and Moscow, which was the second capital of Russia for that times, and the province. Homeopathic treatment was not allowed in government and public hospitals, but private practice was legalized by our Emperor Nicholas I. The situation like this actually existed in the Russian Empire and the Soviet Union until the end of the 1918s. In 1989, the Ministry of Health of the Ukrainian part of Soviet Union issued order on the development of the homeopathic method in medical practice and improving the organization of providing the population with homeopathic medicines. It was decided to create a homeopathy center in the Ukraine, in the Kiev, capital of the Ukrainian SSSR, that was self-supporting homeopathic polyclinic. Well, after that, Russian homeopathy can boast of some amazing facts of its influence of the history of word homeopathy. I give you an example which amazed me very much, that at the end of the 19th century, it was the Russian homeopathic doctor of medicine as well. His name was Dr. Brezol, who proposed at the World Homeopathic Congress to erect a tombstone to Samuel Hahnemann. So it was a Russian doctor, and the International Commission, headed by this Dr. Brezol, announced an international subscription, hoping that everyone who enjoys the incalculable benefits of homeopathic treatment will consider it a duty of honor to make their contribution to the construction of a tombstone worthy of the eternal memory of Samuel Hahnemann. Within 2 years in Russia, we collected a huge amount of 2,000 of rubles. At that time, it was a huge amount. And the money was transferred to the construction of a monument to Samuel Hahnemann. That surprised me very much. So a few basic facts about how homeopathy came to Russia. First homeopaths came to Russia from Germany, through Poland and through the Baltic states, which was the provinces of Russian Empire for this time. In 1830, 1840s, there were no more than 40 homeopathic doctors in Russia. Mostly of them were foreigners who lived whole their lives in Russian Empire. They provided medical homeopathic care to patients mainly at home, which was in accordance with the degree of the Emperor Nicholas I. The main centers of homeopathy development in Russia at first at St. Petersburg, at Moscow, as well as Kiev, Warsaw, Odessa, and Kharkiv. In the provincial cities, the organizational centers for the development of homeopathy were for homeopathic pharmacies, and later homeopathic societies were organized too. For 100 years, through the 19th and early 20th centuries, St. Petersburg, the capital of the Russian Empire, was a recognized center for the development of homeopathy in Russia. In 1824, a German doctor, Adam, came to Russia. As I told you before, he was a student of Samuel Hahnemann myself. Dr. Adam taught to homeopathic method of treatment Dr. Schering. Dr. Schering was a very popular first Russian homeopath who successfully applied homeopathic in practice, curing the cadets of the Marine Corps in the city of Oranienbaum, not far from St. Petersburg. He stops by himself with the homeopathic remedy epidemic, which was called Egyptian eye inflammation. And Emperor Nicholas I was visiting the infirmary hospital, learned about the success of Dr. Schering, and offered to give homeopathy a big, wide road in Russian Empire. Among the many merits of Dr. Schering, who was at excellent service as a military homeopathy more than 50 years, he was a teacher of the famous prominent homeopaths in Russia, Dr. Kazakevich and Dr. Stitkevich. A major role in the spread of homeopathy in Russia belongs to Dr. Trinius. Can you imagine that Dr. Trinius was the nephew of Samuel Hahnemann's first wife? In 1802, at the University of Leipzig, Dr. Trinius received the degree of Doctor of Medicine, not homeopathic medicine, and was cured of some disease by Dr. Samuel Hahnemann himself. But he was not seriously interested in the new method of treatment for the first time. But in few years, while in the service of the Duchess of Württemberg, he arrived in St. Petersburg, and in 4 years later, he was appointed a life doctor of the imperial family. From a trip abroad, Trinius returned as a homeopath, and then he used homeopathy for the treatment of imperial Russian families. In 1827, he left the post of life doctor, but he returned to the court to teach natural science to the heir to the throne, Alexander Nikolaevich, the next emperor. It is safe to assume that the favorable attitude for the members of the imperial family to homeopathy was formed by preciously because of the conversations of Emperor Nicholas I and his brother Grand Duke Mikhail Pavlovich with academical Dr. Trinius, who was homeopath, nephew of Samuel Hahnemann's first wife. Then, together with Princess Golitsyn, the homeopathic physician Dr. German came to St. Petersburg. He became a house doctor in the family of Countess Osterman Tolstoy, which was a very famous family, and then in other houses of the St. Petersburg aristocrats. In 1827, Dr. German successfully treated an epidemic of bloody diarrhea in Oranienbaum. That was just a few examples how homeopathy came to Russia. On February 14th, 1828, on the recommendation of Grand Duke Mikhail Pavlovich, the military medical department signed a one-year contract with him and sent him to the Tulchinsky hospital for the treatment of soldiers who fought in Turkey. Then he continued to treat soldiers and sailors with homeopathy, remaining to be a very good military doctor. Homeopaths in Tsarist Russia repeatedly stopped epidemics, including cholera epidemics, the famous Asiatic cholera too. As for Moscow, the first mention of homeopathy in Moscow appeared in 1827. In the journal Medical Notes, in the article of the medical inspector of the Galitsyn Hospital, Dr. Marcus wrote an article, Homeopathy of Mr. Samuel Hahnemann. That was the first article about. But the most striking contribution to the development of homeopathy was made by the great Russian homeopath, Dr. Korsakov, very well famous Russian homeopath. Starting in 1829, the official Korsakov, he was just an official for that moment, was convinced by his own experience of the benefits of homeopathic treatments and became a supporter of homeopathy. He was in correspondence with Samuel Hahnemann very often, and he stopped epidemics in Russia, invented a method of preparing homeopathic medicines in one test tube, which is very well known everywhere, which is used by homeopaths around the world till our times. In 1829, his letter to Samuel Hahnemann on pocket first aid kits was published in the German magazine as Archive of Homeopathic Treatment. Between February 1829 and May 1834, Korsakov treated around 12,000 people, mostly local peasants. But even after these years, when he stopped keeping records in journal, he continued to treat a lot of patients, thousands and thousands of patients. Dr. Korsakov himself was not only a propagandist of homeopathic treatment, but also he developed a new method of preparing homeopathic medicine in single test tube. This method was highly appreciated by Russian homeopathic doctors and followers of homeopathy all over the world. Samuel Hahnemann noted Korsakov's scientific achievements in a letter to him dated March 7th in the year of 1832. What Dr. Samuel Hahnemann wrote to the Dr. Korsakov: I'm surprised at the indefatigable zeal with which you devoted yourself to our beneficent homeopathic art, as much to be able to treat members of your family and the surrounding poor people, as much to penetrate into the secrets of nature, as you proved in your useful notes on this subject. During the great cholera epidemics of 1830, 1831, and then in 1847, 1848, Dr. Korsakov was elected the nobility for the post, the district inspector of cholera hospital in the Moscow region, and promoted the method of treating Asian cholera with homeopathic remedies. Already in the year 1832, a small printed work, Cholera, awarding a quick and sure cure for it by homeopathy, was published. 3 years later, in Moscow, the university printing house published for the first time in Russia the Organon of Medical Art, or the basic theory of the method of homeopathic treatment of Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, and then the book Therapy of Acute Disease according to the homeopathic system, treated by Dr. Franz Hartmann. That was a first books in Russian language. In the same year, 1835, the Lazarev's printing house of the Institute of Oriental Languages published the book of Konstantin Benninghausen, Experience of Homeopathic Therapy of Intermittent Fevers for Beginning Homeopaths, translated from German language. And Belavsky published a pocket homeopathic medicine books. After that, New books come and come. In 1836, the book The Right Way to Treat Women and Children Disease, according to the Hahnemann method, for mothers, was published in Moscow. So homeopathy became more and more popular. The successful homeopathic treatment of cholera contributed to the introduction of new method in hospitals. So from 1841 to 1844, in the old Catherine Hospital, Dr. Goldenberg treated patients with homeopathic remedies in a separate ward. In 1844, Prince Golitsyn opened a small homeopathic hospital with 10 beds, later with 20 beds. In addition to paid places in the hospital, it was charity of aristocrats. There were beds that existed of donation from citizens. The trustees contributed money annually and every year, it means, and acquired the right to have a bed in their name. The benefactors annually contributed money, enjoyed the right of preferred accommodation of the poor for their poor people for their intended purpose. Until November 1859, about 1,000 patients were treated in that hospital. In addition, about 3,000 patients received outpatient treatment. After the death of Prince Golitsyn in 1860, the hospital was closed, unfortunately, because the heirs refused to finance it. In 1892, 7 homeopathic doctors worked in Moscow, and the first public homeopathic organization in Moscow, the Moscow Society of Followers of Homeopathy, was organized in 1894 of the initiative of General Fedorovsky. In 1912, it was already 11 homeopaths practiced in Moscow. During the First World War in 1914, the Russian Homeopathic Society organized a small military hospital with 20 beds again, which was supplied with free homeopathic medicine from 3 Moscow homeopathic pharmacies. In this hospital, 6 homeopaths received patients free of charge. That was a great charity too. In the first post-revolutionary years, homeopathy fell on hard times. People's Commissar Lunacharsky declared homeopathy an idealistic and reactionary doctrine. But after the publication of the article by the famous German doctor Professor Beer, which was called "What Should Be Our Attitude to Homeopathy?", Commissar Lunacharsky softened his position to homeopathy. Not being a new homeopath, he said, "I believe that there is a deep biological meaning in all this method, which cannot be ignored," said Lunacharsky. In the 1920s, the Russian Homeopathic Society was organized in Moscow, headed by Dr. Gabrilovich. And in year 1935, a homeopathic polyclinic was opened in House 4 on Trubная Square. The homeopathic polyclinic occupied an area of around 250 square meters of the ground floor, where there were 7 offices for receiving patients, a waiting room, a management office, and a utility room for nurses. In the basement, there was a reception room, dressing room, accounting office, and a boiler room. In the year 1936, the admission of patients by homeopathic doctor was allowed in 2 other Red Cross polyclinics, on the Arbat and on the Dragomilov. In year 1936, in the Central Homeopathic Polyclinic served, can you imagine, 75,000 patients, outpatients basics. On October 26, in the year 1942, the Central Homeopathic Pharmacy was opened in Moscow on Kolkhozny Square in house number 12. During the year alone, around 400 units of homeopathic medicines were sold to the population from the new pharmacy. In the end of the 14th of the 20th century, on the initiative of the chief oncologist of the Moscow region, the authorities allowed homeopathic doctors to treat cancer inoperable patients with the homeopathic method in the Kostinskaya hospital. It has been found that the homeopathic remedies relieve the suffering of even seriously ill patients. In the year 1948, the homeopathic physician Dr. Kalmykova treated patients with skin cancer, necessary confirmed by biopsy studied at the Gertzen Cancer Institute in the 1959 in the oncological dispensary at the City Cancer Hospital. Of the 22 patients, 10 were completely cured by homeopathy. 3 did not respond to treatment, and 9 of them were discounted for various reasons not dependent on homeopathy. Along with domestic homeopathic remedies manufactured by 3 Moscow-based homeopathic pharmacies, in 1993, foreign homeopathic medicines appeared on the pharmaceutical market, imported as a rule under one-time permits of the Ministry of Health and Medical Industry of Russia. They were in great demand among the population of Moscow. On the end of January 1905, at a meeting of the Scientific Council of the Research Institute of Traditional Methods of Treatments, it was decided to organize a commission on homeopathy as part of the section of the Scientific Council of the Ministry of Health and Medical Industry on Traditional Medicine. The commission should coordinate the development of homeopathy in the country. In November 1995, the most important event for Russia homeopathy took place. Finally, the Ministry of Health and Medical Industry of the Russian Federation signed order number 335 of November 1995 on the use of the method of homeopathy in practical health care. From this moment, homeopathy was officially legalized completely and generally. Homeopathy is finally officially recognized as a method of treatment. Since that time, the production of homeopathic medicine in Russia is a subject to licensing as one of the types of production of medicine in the Russian Federation. All homeopathic medicine produced in Russia and imported from abroad are subject to state quality control and certification. In accordance with this order, already in 1996, homeopathic medicine were included in the State Register of Medicines. What else I want to share with you about Russian history of homeopathy? The Russian writer, very famous writer, Fyodor Mikhailovich Dostoevsky, argued that homeopathic pills have power. The famous writer and scientist Vladimir Dal, who is also a doctor, medical doctor, the organizer of the medical service, has studied in his practice that homeopathic remedies act quickly, strongly, and amazingly. The great composer, Russian composer Mikhail Glinka, told how after standard treatment with medical preparations, he tried homeopathic medicine and was shocked by the positive results, and so on and so on. Also, I want to share with you the development of homeopathy in Russia and the role of Russian Orthodox Church in it. Russian homeopathy in the 19th century owes much of its popularity to the Russian Orthodox Church, whose ministers actively participated in the spread of a new method of treatment. Homeopathic treatment was blessed, prescribed, and accepted by such venerated saints as like Saint Ignatius Ignatiy Brenchanininov. Saint Féophane de Reclus, Saint John Kronstadt, Jan Kronstadtский. In the mid of the 1880s, the Holy Synod, the head of Russian Church, introduced the study of homeopathy into the curricula of theological seminars. Homeopathic medical books were sent to churches as a free supplement to church periodicals. Due to the absolute safety of Hahnemann therapy, the rural clergy widely used it in the treatment of their flock. At the end of the 19th century, the subscribers of the magazine Dr. Homeopath were about 1,000 priests from various parts in Russia. And more than 1,000 priests received homeopathic medicines in 3 homeopathic pharmacies in St. Petersburg. Saint Ioan of Kronstadt, Jan Kronstadtский, delivered a speech at the opening of homeopathic pharmacy and hospital in St. Petersburg on October 17th in the year of 1892, which was published in full of periodicals of that time and reprinted in the next year and in the year of 1912 in the materials of the first All-Russian Congress of Followers of Homeopathy. Here is an excerpt from the speech. Your institution or your method of treating a disease has its motto the proverb of the ancient homeopathic sages, simile similibus curantur. The method is the most reasonable and correct. Divine wisdom itself has found no sure remedy for the sufferers of skin and immune diseases of mankind than the healing of the like of the like. The very example of the communion of the most pure body and blood united with the deity is an example of healing like this. He compared with the Jesus Christ phrases. May the God-man himself, the all-powerful creator and physician of mankind suffering from corruption, always be you all-powerful helper in your generally useful affairs. A lot of clergymen took part in the first All-Russian Congress of Followers of Homeopathy in this year. In the God-fearing 20th century, homeopathy was practiced and glorified by Metropolitan Seraphim Chichagov, Saint Seraphim Вырицкий, Святой Серафим Вырицкий, Saint Gabriel Sedmitsky, Святой Гавриил Sedmitsky, Bishop Athanasius Sakharov of Kovrov, Archpriest Nikolai Guryanov of the island of Zalit, and others. Archimandrit Simeon Холмогоров held a homeopathic reception at St. Daniel Monastery in Moscow. The Optina elder Joseph did not take any medicines at all except for homeopathic ones. The spiritual son of Saint Seraphim Vyritsky glorified at the Jubilee Council of the Russian Orthodox Church in 2000, professor of medicine Dr. Favorsky was a remarkable homeopath. The famous regent of the Epiphany Cathedral in Yelohov, Viktor Stepanovich Komarov, 265 years old, had the same medical specialization. Vladika himself was treated by the famous Moscow homeopath Mukhin and the founder of the Kiev School of homeopathic doctor Popov. Blessed Matrona of Moscow, this is a saint, very famous saint of Russia. Matrona of Moscow contributed to the formation of the church and took care to the famous Moscow homeopath Badanov, often received the homeopath Postnikov, who was repressed, unfortunately. In Russia, more than 200 dissertations have been now defended, in which the effectiveness of homeopathic medicine has been clinically proven. Dissertations were defended in 42 institutions of 29 cities of Russia, in 30 specialists of medical, pharmaceutical, biological, and veterinary science. In July of 2004, Professor Butenin received a blessing from the monk of the Pskov-Pechorsk monastery, Archimandrit Ian Christiankin, to write and publish the book, Homeopathy and Orthodoxy. The elder gave him this parting message: there is no orthodox homeopathy, there is an orthodox person. This is the most important thing. And he must be a high professional in his field, for example, in homeopathy. In conclusion, I will give biographies of two Russian Orthodox Church heroes who not only blessed, but also prescribed homeopathic treatments to people who turned to them for help. An example of this, Saint Ignatius, Святой Игнатий Брянчанинов, и John of Kronstadt, Иоанн Кронштадтский, Serafim Chichagov, and many, many others. For the moment, I want to share with you the modern state of Russian homeopathy. We have in Moscow, in Petersburg, and in other provinces and cities, Российское гомеопатическое общество, Russian Homeopathic Society, which now has officially more than 100 members, but we have a lot of doctors who just start or who already practice homeopathic medicine. As for me, I was training in classical clinical homeopathy at the hospital of Dr. Alec Parekh in Agra, India, more than 10 years ago. Then I had improvement at the seminar of Dr. Darius Pinedi, Rothenburg, Germany, at the author seminar of Dr. Eddie Zillens, Belgium, Dr. Ajit Kulkarni, India. I participate in the European Homeopathic Congress, Riga, Latvia, work as an assistant interpreter for clinical appointment in case studies for Dr. Ajit Kulkarni and Dr. Banerjee. Also, I continue as interpreter at the International Seminar of Continuing Education in Clinical Homeopathy of Dr. Parekh Center, Agra, India, 3 years ago. And finally, I met Dr. Josie Sack. Before that, I start to use just notes from my colleagues from the seminar and Academy of Dr. Josie Sack. And you know, when I start my, I start practice it in my homeopathy practice, my practice become more effective. I think in 300% effective than before. That's why it turned me completely to Dr. Josie Sack, and I follow to him all the seminar in Russia, in Moscow, and St. Petersburg. I was a participant of seminar Women's Health, Gynecology, Pregnancy Management, Obstetrics and the Postpartum Period, Treatment of Diseases of the Neonatal Period and Early Childhood in St. Petersburg 2 years ago, before COVID stopped. Then I was on seminar of Dr. Josie Sack, dedicated to hormone-dependent diseases, diabetes, hypothyroid and hypothyroidism, disease of Meniere, multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, systematic lupus erythematosus, and so on in Moscow. After that, I was on seminar of Dr. Josie Sack, disease of the cardiovascular system, angina pectoris, arteriosclerosis, hyperlipidemia, hypertension, myocardial infarction, rheumatic fever, and so on in Moscow. And till now, I'm a student of Dr. Sack International Academy of Homeopathy. From the first year of my practice of classical homeopathy, I became convinced that the method can work wonders. For example, one woman, mother of daughter, with her small daughter, came to see me, and the girl was 7 years old and had chronic bronchitis till her born. They did not respond to conventional treatment. The girl's mother herself is a doctor, and she tried many different methods, took her to different specialists, but the chronic cough did not recede from the girl. I prescribe her only one single dose of phosphorus because I see this is a constitutional and also acute drug for her bronchitis in this child. And the girl's mother was shocked because everything is stopped. The illness was stopped. And she didn't believe this and was afraid even to tell someone about it. And she waited for a few weeks, but after that she was sure that the effect is very good, and she trusted to homeopathy. And now she and her daughters use only homeopathy, and she's a dentist doctor, and to all her patients she advised to go to homeopathy. This is just the first example of how can be successful even the beginner of the homeopathy all over the world. The combination of knowledge of psychology and knowledge of classical homeopathy gives me an excellent effect. Sometimes appointment can instantly work wonders for incurable disease and chronic conditions. For example, I have a case young woman, 23-year-old woman. She had amenorrhea for 3 years already. Before she came to me, for 2 years, she was examined by gynecologist, endocrinologist, and even underwent a course of psychotherapy, but her periods never came. When she met me, I talked to her very shortly. I asked her literally 2 short questions, and the drug immediately became clear, Ignatia, because I asked, how long have you had your periods? And she answered that question. And then I said, what happened at the age of 21 when your period stopped and disappeared? She couldn't immediately remember, but I asked a little bit more, and I asked a leading question. Did you have any worries associated with a relationship with a man? And she remembered immediately that she had a traumatic relationship with a famous footballist player. This gave me the key for the appointment, for the prescribing. And it took only 1 pill of Ignatia 2000, and her periods came back. And since this time, she has it regularly. It was a shock for the girl, for the young woman, how 2 minutes of questions and answers and tiny single pill could work a miracle. Before, she was trying a lot of things, a lot of specialists for 2 years, and nothing happened. Here, it took only 2-3 minutes to talk with homeopath and only 1 tiny pill, and now she's happy and healthy. Such cases in practice greatly delight not only for the homeopath and the patients. The main thing is that they instill faith in homeopathy for people who either did not believe in homeopathy before, or have never heard anything about homeopathy. After such excellent results, after a prescription made quickly enough, sometimes after 2 minutes and taken with the patients, then 1 pill of the remedy are needed, and the patient gets an excellent result. And after that, these patients become a faithful admirers of homeopathy for their whole life. And besides that, they constantly talk about the doctors, homeopaths, and homeopathy is an effective method to everyone around. Therefore, homeopathy is doomed to success all over the world, and in Russia too. It's becoming more and more famous. The COVID situation in the last 1-2 years has brought many new supporters to homeopathy. Many new patients have initially referred to homeopaths over the past year thanks to COVID. Simply because people were so scared of the severe complications of COVID treatment in conventional hospitals, and they simply doesn't want to go there. Therefore, even those people who do not believe in homeopathy, who do not trust homeopathy, simply out of fear of getting into a difficult situation into the hospital, they decided to try homeopathy at the first sign of an acute illness and they see the effect, and they become friends of homeopathy finally. I have encountered this myself many times over the past year and a half, and I have heard a lot of similar stories from my colleagues in Moscow, and not only in the Moscow. So let's say thanks to COVID. It is very impressive how homeopathy helps with COVID. People just need to go to an online homeopath, describe their symptoms, and get an appointment. Then just order homeopathic medicine, and the courier contactless deliver brings it to the door of the apartment, the pills. Then the patient is in touch with a homeopathic doctor online, and it's happily cured of COVID. He doesn't even have to come to the appointment. He doesn't have to leave his home, go to hospital. He doesn't have to spend a lot of money on heavy pharmaceuticals. So glory to homeopathy. I want to express my deep gratitude to the Homeopathic Forum, which was created as a such frightening time for the population of the entire planet. We practicing homeopaths are very supportive of online communication from our colleagues, especially our professor, Dr. Joss. The opportunity to share experiences is an epidemic situation is simply invaluable. I also want to say a special thank you to our really great professor, teacher of classic homeopathy, Dr. Joseph Sachs. For all this difficult time for people, Dr. Joseph Sachs supported us and online in Zoom talked about the main means of prevented COVID, about the basic and medicines of homeopathy for COVID or post-COVID syndrome. Then he held an international conference for us and shared his experience in the treatment of post-COVID syndrome. In a situation of isolation, it has no price. It is just priceless. Thank you, Dr. Joss. May I once again thank the homeopathic community, the international forum, and all my teachers and colleagues and patients who are dedicated to the principles of Samuel Hahnemann: single remedy, minimal dose. I wish prosperity to homeopathy, colleagues, teachers, patients, and the forum. Let's another hundreds and thousand days online to be the beginning of a long traditions of the global homeopathic community. Also, if we have a possibility, my beloved patient Marina, who now is completely online because she lives not in Moscow, now she lives in Paris or close to Paris. Maybe she wants to share with us her experience with homeopathy.
Hello, my name is Marina. I'm 33 years old. I know today it's some celebration, so I congratulate you. And I would like to tell some small stories about homeopathy on my life. And I will begin by my husband. So I would like to tell that he was very skeptical about homeopathy, but his life is changed and mine too. So in to the spring 2016, he had a big attack of gout, and his right legs was swelled. It was huge elephant paw, and he cannot to move. He cannot to step. He couldn't move at all his toes. So it was terrible. And I told him, do you want to try homeopathy? Because I already started 2 years. And as all European people, he have insurance. And he told me, no, I want to go to hospital. So I told, okay. And as his doctor, he prescribed a huge number of some injection pills, hormone therapy. And so I was so happy because my husband, he wasn't really agree with hormone therapy. And I asked him again one more time, do you want to try homeopathy? And so he told, okay, let's do it. If it will help me, I will be so happy. And I took an appointment with Dr. Olga, and she asked some question to him. And it was just one homeopathy remedy. It was Ledum 30. And so his swelling went away. He was so surprised and happy. And maybe after 5-7 days, all the symptoms went away. All the pain, swelled, everything. So he was eyes like this, told, no, it's not possible. I don't believe how it's working. But since this time, he's with homeopathy. So next it's me, and I would like to tell about me. I started homeopathy 2014, and I started because I constantly had dizziness and nausea. But before to start homeopathy, I did all the medicine tests because I didn't understand what's happened with me. And but my thyroid, all my tests, blood, everything, all my check control of my body, my health was fine. And the doc told me, you're a healthy girl, you can go back home. So I asked to Dr. Olga if she can to help me. And after 6-7 months of monitoring and prescribing homeopathy remedy, all the symptoms went away. And I was so happy because I was so tired about these symptoms, and I didn't know why it's happened. So it was my first and very good feeling with homeopathy. And the next my things of my life, and it was big panic attack on the plane. It was very problem to flight, and Dr. Olga picked up the remedy for me. And before to my plane take off, I took some homeopathy remedy under my tongue. And I was so surprised because panic attack not happened. So since this time I flight quiet. I cannot tell that I'm completely not afraid, but I didn't have any panic attack. So I am so happy. And my daughter, she's 9 years old. She started homeopathy at 3 years old. And I want to tell thank you to homeopathy because she never take any single antibiotic or official pharma. And like last time, she had a high temperature, 39.7. I was little afraid. So Dr. Olga, she told me to give her belladonna. And after a couple of minutes, her temperature began to be low. So I was so happy. And what else I can to tell about me? It's 2 years ago, we took a dog, and she's nice and cute dog. But couple of time after, we saw she was covered and like hysterical dog who couldn't eat normally, couldn't go out to make toilet well. She was very bad behavior, and sometimes it looked like a stupid dog. And so I was thinking that she's like autist dog, really, because she don't like when you watch her. She don't like when we make a hug. And when we go out from the house and to let her alone, our dog was rushing and biting us. So I asked to Olga, Dr. Olga, if she can to help our dog. So some question about her symptoms, and she gave us some homeopathy remedy, and maybe step by step. And after my dog, I watched her, and I told to Dr. Olga, she began to be nice, quiet, and I can to hug my dog, and she is not bite me when. So now she is not afraid to go out when it's rain. She eat really good. She's active, and on the same time, she's very nice with us, with people who are living with her. So we was so happy. And we have a cat. After she had operation sterilization, and Dr. Olga told give her some remedy. And after the operation, I gave her. And our veterinarian dog, he was so happy because after 4 days, well, 4 or 5 days, the scar of sterilization removed very, very well. Not removed, recovered very well. So he removed his bandage, and he told, I'm so surprised, it's not possible. Usually a cat take times maybe 14 days, and after 4 days your scar is very I don't know how to tell, but very well done. So I was so happy, and I want to tell that homeopathy helped not only human, it's working with animals too, and is so good. And the very fresh situation in our family, it's we has been ill with COVID-19. The first to get sick was my husband. He has 49 years old, and for him it was really a big sick, longer and hard. For my daughter and me, my daughter just nose are blocked. Me, I lost smells, and my throat hurt me, and I had little headache. So, and for my husband, he had huge migraines. He always stays on the quiet and dark place. He cannot to move. He was so tight. He was unpowerful, and his legs hurt him. He can. For cough, it was hard to breathe. And so I was little afraid. And one time I asked him, do you want to go to hospital? And he told me, no, I believe on my Dr. Olga, and I believe in homeopathy. I will not move to hospital. And so I want to tell thank you so much, because COVID for my husband was hard. And we fight with COVID just only with homeopathy. And the last and most important one I would like to tell about homeopathy, it's when we have some problem with our health. And I called to my Dr. Olga, and she always asked some question, not only physical symptoms. She asked about emotion, how we feel. We are scary, we are empty, we want to cry, we want to shout. And it's very important, because when medicine is working not only with physical symptom, and he is working with emotion, and two important human things working together, and it gives the best result. So I am so happy that homeopathy is on my life, on my family. I'm so happy because I've got this amazing Dr. Olga with me on my life. And thank you, people who practice this medicine and who help people. It's really working very well. Thank you so much.